Discover the best-kept secrets from the leading entrepreneurs across the globe. Learn from the greatest minds in business with the MyCoda podcast. Here's your host, Sam Payne.
What's up, everybody? Sam Payne here, and thank you for joining us for another session of the MyCoda podcast. Now, you'll be so pleased you tuned in today, guys, because we have got Neil Patel on board from Crazy Egg, Kissmetrics, Quicksprout.com, and neilpatel.com. And if you haven't heard of Neil before, I guarantee you know someone that has, because Neil is an absolute icon, a legend, a genius when it comes to marketing your company online, converting people into subscribers, and eventually taking them on to being paid customers. And Neil has worked with so many people over the years now, and he goes into a lot of detail actually on how he does this. And Neil is all about giving out free content. Believe it or not, for the guy that makes so much money, 90% of what he does and delivers is absolutely free. And guys, if you don't know who he is, by the end of this interview you will, and I urge you, I implore you to go and check out Neil and the resources that are in these show notes, because he has just got a ton of useful knowledge that will help you grow and develop your businesses online. So I'm going to leave the intro here, guys. You don't want to hear me talk anymore. We want to get straight into this one with session 013 of the MyCoda podcast with Neil Patel. Okay, hi Neil. How are we doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. Now, before we kick things off, just for the guys out there that may not be familiar with you, could you just please introduce yourself and what it is you do?
Sure. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I enjoy creating software companies that help other entrepreneurs and marketers succeed, growing their site, their traffic, their sales, etc. I also blog at quicksprout.com and neilpatel.com.
Awesome. And I mean, this podcast is all about business startups, and the guys that are listening in generally are struggling with just getting their businesses off the ground. So I love to just get into the backstory of the guests and how they started out. So what was it for you that made you want to start your own business and become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, the big thing for me is that wanted me to start my own businesses. When I was young, I wanted a much better life. I was starting entrepreneurship for the wrong reasons. In essence, it was just to try to become rich. Little did I know, making money doesn't necessarily make you more happy. Over time, I learned that. But at the beginning, I started out just for one simple reason. I wanted to become rich.
Yeah. And, I mean, how long did it take you to realize that actually it's not about the money anymore? I mean, did you make money straight away when you started out? I mean, you're hugely successful now, but how long did it take you to actually start generating a decent income?
I was starting to make money from day one. I was reinvesting everything back into the business. It took roughly 4 or 5 years before I got my first paycheck.
Wow. Okay, so that's a long time to be to hustling for nothing. I mean, did you have a job on the side? Was you in like a corporate job or anything like that, or how was you sort of subsidizing your life while you was trying to make things work with your own business?
I was young. I was 16 years old. I lived with mom and dad.
Perfect time to start.
Yeah.
Did you find your age was an issue when you started at 16?
Yeah, it was a bit harder because I was young, but it all worked out.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And I mean, I've been following you for a while, and you're hands down one of the busiest guys I've been following and interviewed. I mean, you've got numerous sites. You do interviews. You do create tons of content. You consult. I mean, I'm sure I've missed something else there. So one question is, how do you find time just to do and manage all of this?
I just work a lot of hours.
Yeah. And what's a lot of hours for you?
70 to 80 a week.
Okay. And I mean, just so we can get an idea, or the guys listening can get a bit more of an idea of what you've got going on, could you just go into a little bit of detail about the businesses you've got running and the services they offer?
The businesses that who's running?
That you're running, the business.
Yeah. So I don't really offer too many services these days, but a few of the businesses are like Crazy Egg. It's a heat map analytics, helps you determine what's causing you to generate sales, what's not. You can do A/B testing, track mouse movements, scrolls, etc. So you can see if people are scrolling or they're not, or if your call to action is placed in the wrong area. Those are just examples. Another one is Hello Bar. Think of it as a welcome mat for your website, right? Someone comes, you can tell them messages like free shipping, or here's where you should go, or check out this offer, etc. It just allows you to promote product, service, or specific message to your visitor.
Cool. And I mean, has it always been about trying to find out the best way to get conversions for you? Because a lot of everything you do is purely about conversions. Was it always that way for you, or was it something that you gradually went into over time?
I gradually went into over time. At first, I started with the traffic generation.
And what was it that? So, what was it about the conversions that really interest you? I mean, was you struggling with the traffic generation initially, and was it? How long did it take you to really find these methods to convert people well?
Yeah, it took a while. So when it comes to like the traffic generation and conversions, it took a long time. It just took years and years of testing. Eventually you figure out what works and what doesn't. You work on many different sites, accounts, and you figure out, hey, for this industry, these techniques tend to work well, and for this other industry, these other techniques work well. And here's a process you can end up using to figure out how to boost your sales and conversions overall.
And I mean, hands down, you're one of the grandmasters when it comes to this. And have you got any sort of real growth hacks you'd be happy to share with the listeners today, which will help them start converting more people when they're visiting their site?
Yeah, a simple one is just to exit pop-up. When someone leaves your website, why not show them an offer? What do you have to lose? They're not buying anyways. That's one simple trick that most people don't do. Another one is everyone gets people to register to their site putting in their email, password. Why do that? Just have them log in through Facebook or Twitter. Use third-party authentication services. That helps a lot. Another trick is on your checkout pages, instead of having it all on one page, break it down into multiple steps, multiple pages. That tends to usually boost conversion by like another 10% or so.
Okay. And I mean, pop-ups a bit of I've heard a lot of different things about pop-ups. I mean, would you generally use pop-ups on your site just when people are exiting, or would you introduce them, say, when they've scrolled 50% down a blog post? I mean, how do you generally use them?
Pop-ups, the way I use them and see them is when we do it purely just when people exit. Like, we try not to do it if someone comes into the site or right away. We feel it doesn't always create the best user experience, but if someone's leaving, it's not too bad.
And have you found that the same sort of applies with things like welcome mats for the user experience? Do you tend to steer away from them, or do you use them in your sites?
We use them. Welcome mats do well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And also, I think the checkout one was quite an interesting point you said there, because a lot of guys may struggle. I know a lot of people are struggling to actually get guys to check out from their stores online. So what sort of steps do you introduce? You say you use multiple steps. Could you just break that down a little bit more for the guys that have got like e-commerce sites?
Yeah, the reason you use multiple steps is if someone puts in a name and email or email passwords, like, I already gave you some of my information, might as well give you the rest, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, if someone doesn't complete the checkout, you can email them and try to get them re-engaged.
Yeah.
So just those two little things helps, because once you break it into steps, they're like, I already gave you my name and email, might as well give you my credit card details. And of course, if they don't, then you can email them and re-engage them.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. That really is. And I mean, have you got any sort of real big no-nos when it comes to setting up systems on your site to try and convert people?
The big no-nos that I would say is you can't just make changes based off of your gut. That's the biggest no-no. No one's looking at quantitative and qualitative data. Sure, some people look at just Google Analytics or user feedback every once in a while, but you need both. You need the numbers and you need the feedback from the users. If you can't get their objections and you can't figure out what the common objections are, you won't know where to improve. Yeah,
and I mean, what services, you said Google Analytics there, but what other services do you use to collect your data then?
Google Analytics, Crazy Egg, Qualaroo, those are some of the main tools that we use.
Even with social media, I mean, do you use analytics a lot for your social media as well. I mean, what sources do you use for gathering data for your social pages?
Yeah, for me, for social media, I tend not to use too many analytics. I use like the Facebook Insights that they provide. Twitter has some stats, but you're in control of them, right? Or they're in control of you. They pick what you get to see. Sure, I track it also all with Google Analytics. It's just not 100% accurate.
Yeah, and I mean, let's touch on. I mean, your content you provide, by the way, is just awesome. Like a lot of the content you provide, I would consider content you would pay for. Is there a reason you do this? Because the stuff you're putting out is just incredible.
No, just helping people out. Like if they like it, great. If not, then oh well. But my big thing is I try to learn from people, figure out what they want, and just try to provide the most amount of value. I don't try to optimize for income or revenue.
And I mean, with so much content going out, and every single time as well, you're consistent. You hit the nail on the head with what people want, and they tend to really resonate with it. But a lot of guys struggle with this. So, I mean, what advice would you give to people that are, well, two points really. One, they're struggling to find topics to write about. And two, it's finding the time to really create good quality content and consistently provide it for their followers.
You just have to communicate with them, get to know them. If you don't get to know your readers and understand them, then your content's not going to be that great in quality and you won't be writing what they want, right? And that's why we survey so much, because it really does help us figure out what we can do to help people out more, where we're wasting our time.
Yeah. And do you find that, just in, say, blog posts, for example, do you find longer content tends to work better for conversions, or do you stick with shorter content? I mean, what have you found?
Yeah, it all varies. I don't really look at the length. I look at the quality and how actionable the content is and how useful it is. But yes, in general, the longer posts do better. Reason being is more keywords. You can get more search traffic. And on top of that, you can go into much more detail in a long blog post versus something that's short. And
I mean, do you have like a general blueprint you use when you structure your blog posts?
No real blueprint, other than just introduction, then body, keep it short to the point, some bullets, subheadings, and a conclusion. Keep the paragraphs under like 5-6 lines, use you and I throughout the post so that way it creates a conversation. But those are the main rules that I follow.
And when it comes to call to actions on your posts, do you use the same call to actions across a lot of your content, or do you use specific call to actions that are native to that post?
I've done a bit of both. You just have to test to see what works, but typically the call to actions that are related to that post perform better.
And I mean, some of your giveaways, and we'll come on to your giveaways in a minute, are incredible. But what sort of giveaways have you found convert best when just purely for email subscribers?
Yeah, the best giveaways that I found that convert extremely well is anything that's like courses, not just like a general ebook or a white paper, but like courses, something that's actionable, short, to the point, and it breaks down specific tactics that someone can then implement on their website. An example of this is if I have a marketing blog, I may do a course like double your traffic in 30 days and just break down 30 tactics that someone could be leveraging one each day to grow their visitors.
That's awesome advice. But some people might be sitting there going, okay, this is all well and good, but where do I start making money out of this? I mean, what have you found the response has been once you've provided this free content? I mean, do you get a return on your investment? Do they come back to you for more business after this?
They do. It's a long play, but it works out in the long run. It's too hard to generate an ROI in the first 12 months.
Yeah. And I listened to your interview on Single Grain, where you disclosed that you spent $30,000 on creating one of your giveaways. Firstly, I'm curious, why did you decide to invest so much in a free giveaway? I mean, it's a crazy amount of money to invest in a free giveaway.
I don't know. I just wanted to help others out. Like, why not?
Yeah.
No reason, to be quite frank.
And I mean, what was the response you got from that? Well, did you get a bigger response from that piece of content than other free giveaways you've provided?
Some have worked better than others. It's hit or miss. Like, you just have to test and keep tweaking. But yeah, works out quite well in most cases.
And I mean, for the guys, a lot of guys out there won't have, say, a budget of $30,000 to put a giveaway together. But for someone who hasn't got a large purse to play with, what's the best sort of thing they can do to create really good giveaways that provide a ton of value? I mean, are there any sort of hacks they can use to put together some really cool content for people?
Yeah, partner up with other people. You can do joint ventures with other people in your space. Together you can write it, and then you can give away the information, and it works well. And the reason being is it's time. You either put in the time or you put in the money. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do big free giveaways. Like, you can partner with someone and get them to help you out with, let's say, the design aspect so it looks really good, or the coding aspect, right? Like, there's a way. If you're willing to be scrappy, there's a way to get stuff done.
Yeah. And I mean, just with the sheer amount of content you're putting out there, Neil, like, how much time do you dedicate every week to just creating content? A lot of time, probably like 20-30% of my time, easily. Wow, okay, that is a lot. And I mean, you're posting content across multiple sites, so do you have a team in place that facilitates this, or do you produce a lot of your content yourself?
You're saying, did I have a lot of content?
No, sorry, I'm saying, like, because you do produce a lot of content across multiple sites.
Yeah.
Do you have a team in place to facilitate this, or do you produce a lot of that content yourself?
It's me producing the content. It's editors checking my content, and someone else posts it up and adds images and formats it and schedules it. Someone else is in charge of the promotion.
Cool. And do you play with your scheduling times quite a lot as well? I mean, do you just schedule on the same time every day, or do you really check out the analytics and then schedule at specific times every day?
No, pretty much same time every day.
Yeah, okay. And I mean, I want to talk about your webinars as well. I mean, because how many webinars do you run over the course of a month?
A lot. I don't even count.
And I mean, if you don't mind me asking, so what sort of numbers do you draw to your webinars every time?
Thousands.
Okay, that's awesome. That's so cool. And a lot of guys, I mean, especially going into webinars, struggle to even host one successfully. So, firstly, I mean, was it always that way for you? Was it something you naturally just found yourself being very good at, or was it something you had to work at quite a lot to find that recipe that works?
Yeah, for us, it was just finding that recipe that works. There was no real, it's not like you just go out there, you put stuff up, and then you're like, oh, it works. Like, you got to test, tweak, keep adjusting, but you eventually figure out what works and what doesn't, and it just takes time. And
what have you felt are the most successful techniques you've applied to hosting webinars?
The most successful tweak to apply to webinars?
Technique, sorry. The most successful techniques you've used when setting up your webinars?
I would say giving 30 to 40 minutes worth of free information and then making a pitch after. The real key is education. Right? Like, if you don't educate at first, you won't do well.
Yeah, and you say 30 to 40 minutes for educating people. So how long do you spend on your pitch after that? 'Cause I've been in some webinars where they'll spend over an hour pitching and going back to the pitch and coming back to the pitch. And so, I mean, how long do you guys spend on the pitch, and how well do you convert from the numbers that are hitting your webinar to actually getting someone to purchase at the end of it?
Yeah, I would actually say we probably spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes on the pitch, including Q&A.
Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, how well what are your conversion rates like as well, from the guys that are hitting the webinar to the guys that are actually purchasing?
Roughly 100 register. Out of 103 will convert into paid customer.
Okay, so for guys that are hosting webinars, would you say that's a reasonable conversion rate to look for, or a successful conversion rate to look for?
Yeah, it is really good. So I would say if you go with that, you should do well over time. It's just if you can end up getting at least 2 or 3 out of 100, you're doing well.
Yeah. And let's go back to you've got a lot of email subscribers, right? Thousands, hundreds of thousands. When you've got people in your email list, what practices do you use to make sure you don't get many people unsubscribe? How do you look after the guys in your email list?
Well, you're always going to get unsubscribes, but you want to make sure that the information you're providing is really valuable, and that'll ensure that you get as many people as possible to stay on the list. And
when you're producing content for your mailing list, do you reproduce content from your blogs, for example, or do you create new content for your guys that are in your mailing list?
Bit of both. So sometimes I give them unique content, sometimes I just give them blog posts. It changes a lot. But I test it all out.
Okay. And so because I've got a few people I've been talking to, and all they're going on about is unsubscribers. They really focus on the unsubscribe numbers, and it kind of deflates them because they feel like they're doing something really wrong. So could you just give an example of the sort of unsubscribe rate you have with your list, and at what point do you start getting really concerned, or do you not really worry about it too much?
I don't really worry about it too much. Okay. I just keep cranking away. Think about it, right? If you're providing really good information, you're doing the best possible that you can to help others out. You can't worry about all the details. Sometimes you just got to keep pushing forward.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, for example, if I have 100,000 people subscribed to my email list and 1,000 want to unsubscribe because they're not happy, but I believe the information's great and I'm getting awesome feedback, then so be it.
And I mean, let's talk about numbers for a second as well, because you say you've got like 100,000 people on an email list, and say you lose 1,000. I mean, would you be concerned if it dropped by half, but the people that were still in there were engaging, like really engaging at a higher rate? I mean, would you rather have a low number of high engaging people in your list, or a high number of guys that don't really engage too much?
Always a low number with high engagement. Because then your emails will get through in the inbox. If you have low engagement, your emails will go into a spam filter.
With your content as well, I mean, like QuickSprout, for example, I love the university part on the QuickSprout site, and I've used this a lot in the past. So with that content, firstly, there's a lot of it on there. How much time did you put into QuickSprout to get it to where it is today?
Years. I don't even keep track of it. It's been so long that it wasn't easy.
With the content that you've got in QuickSprout, a lot of people would question why you didn't just bundle that up into a package and sell it as a course. So, like, is there a reason for that, or does it just go back to you just loving providing free content for people?
I just love providing free content for people. Yeah. Like, there's no real end game. Just I enjoy doing it.
I love that because, do you know, a lot of people will ask me, like, what's the call to action? What's the call to action? Everyone feels there has to be a call to action for something, but just the fact that you just put it out there, I think is awesome. I mean, and do you find you get a much better response from people just by doing that?
Yeah, at least I found out, right? It may not be for everyone, but if you don't put a call to action, you just try to help and provide value, I see you get better results. But if you just try to monetize from day one, then you don't always build that loyalty.
Yeah. And I mean, let's move away from the free stuff you're doing. I mean, you've got some really cool software out there as well. I mean, what was it about the software products that you liked, and why did you start creating these software products?
Well, the reason I created these software products is we noticed the pain when we were doing consulting. We had a consulting company, and people would come to us and they would say, hey, why aren't people converting from our website? We're growing our traffic. Why aren't our sales going up? We created these solutions to solve our own problems.
I mean, what's the most brilliant piece of advice you feel you could give someone who's just starting out today? Like, what is the one thing that really sticks out to you, and why?
Yeah, the one thing that sticks out to me and why is the one thing that sticks out to me, the big thing that sticks out to me from a marketing perspective and why is these days, everyone, if you look at marketing, they're a big believer that you got to drive traffic and you got to figure out how to monetize. There's one big issue now. Think of it this way. If you just try to figure out how to monetize, you're not building a platform. You're not building an audience, a user base. Think of like a media company. You want that audience. In marketing, if you can figure out how to build that audience, like through blogging, social media, whatever, ideally on your own site that you can control, you can then figure out how to monetize in the future. But if you can't figure out how to build an audience, then anytime you want to make money or monetize later on, you won't be able to because you don't have a pool of people that you can continually access.
Again, that's why I love asking that question, because that's an amazing piece of advice. I love that. And that is it, Neil. That's all we've got time for. So before we just wrap it up, where's the best place for people to find you online, and how can they get in touch with you?
NeilPatel.com.
Awesome. Neil, thank you so much for coming on today. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of your work. I love everything you're doing, and just really appreciate you giving us your time today. So thanks a lot.
No problem. Take care.
Okay, and that is it, guys. Another show done. And again, thank you, Neil, for coming on and just parting with your wisdom and knowledge when it comes to marketing, SEO, converting, and just generally growing your businesses online. So, guys, I cannot recommend checking out Neil's products enough. He's got his software products there. We've got Crazy Egg and Kiss Metrics. We've also got his free content over at neilpatel.com and quicksprout.com. And, guys, you've just heard there, Neil invested $30,000 in one piece of free content. That's how much he wants to help. That's how much he invests in helping people. So I cannot recommend getting over to his resources enough and just checking them out, because there will definitely be something there that's going to help you grow and develop your businesses. And that is it, guys. So once again, I just want to thank you all for your support so far. Thank you for listening in every week. It means so much to me. This is still a very new podcast out on the market. We're only episode 13 now. We have got so many more in the back burner ready to go as well, with some awesome guests coming up. But guys, if you are enjoying this, I could just ask you to do one thing, and that is just share the love. Just spread the word. Get it amongst your friends and family who you feel will benefit from this. And just really push it out to people you know it will help, because our mission is to help as many people as possible. And if it's helped you, you can guarantee it's going to help someone else. And guys, if you really want to help, and I mean, this would be a huge favor, but we would be so appreciative of this one. And that is to help us get on that new and noteworthy, get us up the ratings on the business podcast, and just go over to the podcast in the link below in iTunes and just subscribe, rate, and review to that show, guys. Subscribe, rate, and review the show. And it will take 5 minutes of your time, guys, but it will mean such a difference to us and getting us up in those rankings. And that is it, guys. So thank you again for joining us for today's show. I hope you have an amazing week, and we'll see you next time for the MyCoda podcast.